guys, welcome back to the shop. Well, today we're back on my 64 Falcon gasser. And if you remember last time, we went ahead and got the rear brakes put on. We put the backing plates on, we put the shoes on, and the spring kits. But the only thing we couldn't do is we couldn't put on the drums because of the different bolt pattern. Well, I got that remedy, and let me show you what I did. So I went ahead and just re-drilled for a new bolt pattern for the 5 on 4.5. And today I'm going to walk you through it on how I did it. All right, so the first thing I did is I went ahead and got the new drum out, and I went ahead and just put a light coat of paint around there because what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to scratch into the surface so we know where to drill. And when it's all silver and everything, it was a little difficult to see. So let's go ahead and get set up, and I'll show you what we do. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is we got to find out the diameter of this hole. So we take our caliper and we put it in here. Oops, wrong end. And we come up with 2.875. So that is the diameter of the first hole. Well, we do know that we want to make our wheel pattern 5 on 4.5 inches. So we need to take these measurements and do a little math. Let me show you what we do. We take that 2.875 and the 4.50 that we know is the wheel pattern. We divide them both by 2, and that's what we get. We get 1.4375 and 2.25. So then we take the 2.25 and we minus 1.4375, and that gives us 0.8125. Now that's the difference between the radius of that opening and the radius of the wheel pattern. So now we can go over to the wheel, and we take that, go over to the drum, and we scratch that into the drum. Let me show you what we do. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set our caliper to 0.8125. So we come down, make sure it's zeroed out. We go up to 0.4, 5, 6, 7. Come on. There we go. Too far, Mike. All right. There's 8.04. Yep, too far. So we want 0.8125. So there's our 0.8125. We go ahead and lock it down, and this is what we do. Okay, so now I'm going to take the caliper, put it right into the edge here of the opening, and then follow it around. You want to try to keep the dial as straight as you can. Okay. So there's our ring, our opening for where this is a 4.5 inch bolt pattern. This is the circumference of where each hole, the middle of each hole should be. So now I'll show you how we actually get to where we want to actually drill. Hold on one moment. Okay, next up, now we need to figure out the distance between this hole and this hole, or any two of them, but as long as they're next to each other. So we figure out the distance of these two holes, we divide them by half, and that's where each one of the holes will go that we need to drill. Let me show you what we do. Okay, so we take our measurements, come in here, make sure it's right, and we come up with 2.638. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that and divide it by 2. So we go ahead and we take our 2.638, divide it by 2, and that's going to equal 1.319. So now that's the distance that we have to set the caliper to, and that's where we'll scratch our line. And I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so we set the caliper to 1.319, and we go ahead and scratch those in. And what I do is I just come up here to the edge of the previous bolt hole, and I just go and scratch, following that. Now, if I want, I can come over here to this hole, set it in there, and scratch. And as you can see, right there, that's where you're going to drill your hole, right there in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other 4 done, and I'll bring you right back. Okay, so there's our 5 points that we're going to be drilling. I'll go ahead and get a drill and set up, and we'll go ahead and drill out 5 pilot holes. Be right back. All right, so I went ahead and got my center punch. Let's go ahead and get these holes center punched, and then we'll come back and do a quick drill. So now what we're going to do is going to go right where both lines meet up, and take our center punch. All right, so there we got our 5 holes center punched. Now we'll come through and drill those out. Okay, so there we go. So we got our 5 pilot holes drilled, and we're going to go ahead and do now is open them up. Okay, so now that we got our 5 pilot holes drilled, we'll go ahead and drill out and make them bigger. So what I did is I have an extra lug stud. This way I can check to make sure it's going to clear through all the holes. So what I'm going to do is take my step bit, and I'm going to drill them out to each little hole. So I'll bring you guys right back as soon as I get that done. Okay, so there it is. We got the new bolt pattern drilled out, the 5 on 4.5. And now we're going to go ahead and take the axle shaft, and we'll go ahead and slide it back into the housing. Let's get set up and see what we can do. All right, well, let's go ahead and get the 4 bolts, these 4 nuts removed. And we can go ahead and slide the axle shaft back in. Yeah, I really like these backing plates. They did a really nice job on them. Slide that off. We'll go ahead and take our axle shaft. Slide that in there. Okay. Come on. There we go. There. So now we take our retainer. Not in the washer. Hope everybody's dealing with the time change well. I know for me, it takes a couple of weeks to get acclimated back to the new times and stuff. Frustrating sometimes, but it's what they do. Come on. There we go. There's two. There it is. All right. Let me get that bottom one on. All right. Oh, you that way. All right, there's three. Take this one back off. And now we can add the washer. All right. So I'm not going to tighten these up really tight. This pretty much is going to just snug everything for right now. All right, here we go for the moment of truth. Hard to see at this angle, but I may have to do like I did on the other side and bring those drums all the way in. Just turn the adjuster all the way in. Having some issues here. Give me just a second, guys, and see what we can figure out here. All right, guys. Well, it's kind of funny, you get to a certain angle, and things just line up better. So, as you can see, there it goes. Now it's only going to go so far because of the center register. The center register is a little wider than the opening on the hub, on the drum. So on the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how I open these up, and to make this fit a lot nicer. And then we'll go ahead and put the wheels on it. And I think what we're going to do is actually got to push this thing out, turn it around, and push it back in because I want to work on the front because I've got parts for the front. So that's all we got really for this week. I'm going to go ahead and start a new video here soon. And we'll go ahead and show you how I open up that center register. And like I said, I want to get the car turned around so we can start working on the front. Guys, I just went ahead and revamped my bonfire.com for all the shirts, the hat, and the coffee mugs. So go ahead, please check it out. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to Old School's Garage. Until next time, I'm out of here. Later.